Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Tutorials, where today for part 3 or episode 3 we are going to be talking about plugins. Now you might be thinking, Logan, whoa, what is a plugin? I just went and got speakers and I just went and got not microphones, we aren't up to that part yet. Speakers, and I got headphones, and I went and got myself a little box thing like the Scarlett or whatever to be able to record and output the audio into my computer. I already spent money. Are you telling me that I've got to spend more money on plugins? Not really. There are lots of free plugins, but to be clear, a plugin, the best way I can explain it in layman's terms is, it's like a little program or a piece of software that you can use within Reaper, for example, that can allow you to do a thing. So for example, some plugins like Contact, and we'll go into this as we are, there's plugins that allow you to play the drums by using drum sounds that you have programmed into your plugin. There's some of them will emulate guitar amps, so you can plug your electric guitar directly into your USB interface, the little box thing you bought. By the way, of course, you can also get like Thunderbolt interfaces and stuff like that. They're not just USB. I know there's more than just USB interfaces, but whatever kind of audio interface you've got, you can just plug your guitar into that. And if you have that guitar simulator plugin, you can play your guitar and record, and it'll sound just like, or as close to the amp as you can get. It's a very sort of like It's a very iffy thing for a lot of people. Some people are still very much like, no guitar plugins. And other people use them to record and play live and do shows, It's totally up to you how you feel about it. Plugins are awesome, and then there's also like plugins that we'll switch over to here, because the best way for me to explain this to you is for me to actually show you how you get plugins, because this is assuming that you've downloaded Reaper as per part 1, and this is also assuming that you've gone and sorted out again the speakers and or a set of headphones, because speakers aren't cheap depending on which ones you go to, and it's also assuming that you've got like a little Thunderbolt or USB interface like the Scarlett or whatever, or even going up to the UAD stuff where like you've got like the Apollo stuff if you want to go and go get credit card debt. We're just gonna look at plugins today. So we're gonna just go free plugins. There's a lot. Let's just go to Native Instruments. VST plugins for free. Now VST is a type of file. It's a file type, or a type of plugin. Most, if not all, digital audio workstations like Reaper and also other ones will be able to use VST plugins. Because I'm going to be spending more money today on plugins, you'll get to see how I install them, which is great. This totally wasn't an excuse for me to buy more plugins. But yeah, you can see here, VST plugins for free. This is Native Instruments. I'm serendipitous that we're not looking at Native Instruments today. They do have a thing called a subscription service if you need it, but I don't use it because I've already bought these plugins, a lot of them. But we've got plugins you can download as part of Complete Start, which is like, again, a free set of plugins that you can sample, I think. Taken from our leading production suite, Complete. Now, Complete is their paid plugins. So there's free plugins which you can just download and use at your discretion, of course, because I can't guarantee that every single free plugin is something you should get for so many reasons. Be careful where you buy plugins or where you download plugins, please. Just a disclaimer, not every free plugin you download from any website will necessarily be good, because it's still a piece of software that if you install it, it could potentially make your computer very sick, especially if you're using Windows. But yeah, so Complete you can pay, and you can use any of these plugins, I think, for free. How do VST plugins help? Since VST plugins emulate real sounding instruments and effects, entire musical creations can be produced without touching a single physical instrument. That's another reason why people should use plugins, because again, if you have the correct plugins, you don't need to actually play an instrument. You can just draw in squares like we're going to and later on, and that might seem really lame. There's also other ways of doing it outside of like the way that I did it when I first started 11 years ago or 12 years ago, man. I'm old. But yeah, there's all sorts of fun ones, and they typically all look very, very pretty. But a good way of breaking them down is as follows. We have synthesizers, or synths, which is basically a synth. How do I explain this? A synth produces a sound and then you like a tone, and then you can use the settings of the synth to make it sound different. And there's unlimited types of sort of synths you can make, because there's unlimited ways you can affect the sound of it by using synth plugins and also hardware, because I have hardware synth over here. We have Soundboard Instruments, which are, again, like they're recorded bits of instruments that you can use. Like, for instance, there's like vintage synths where you can actually, this is not the same as like a plugin synth necessarily, because they might be pre-recorded sounds that you can use, although a lot of them can allow you to modulate or mess with the sound of it anyways. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate it at this point, but yeah. And then we've got effects, which is great for if you want to modify a recorded sound, or if you want to modify, the sound of something outside of the original plugin that you recorded it with, So like, let's just say you used a drum plugin to get drum sounds and you made a drum beat. You'd then add an effect after that to be able to change the sound of that overall thing outside of the first plugin, if that makes sense. And then there's complete control, where like you can take something you've recorded and really screw with it, which is like going down a rabbit hole a little bit. A lot of people in the beginner and intermediate stages probably won't need to mess with waveforms, but it's something you can do if you want to. Samples. So samples are dope. Samples can be inside and outside of plugins. I think what Native are getting at is that you can use their samples within their plugin called Contact, which has like a thing which has like a collection of all the sampled sounds. So just to collaborate, to corroborate, is that the word? A sample is a recording or an audio file of something. So for instance, if you record someone playing a kick drum like that, and then you record that, you'll have a waveform. And we'll get into waveforms later on if we haven't already, but you'll have that waveform. And if you've got that recorded as a file, that's technically a sample. And so you can take that recording of that drum, that kick drum, and you can just put it in another project if you want to. And what they're doing with Native is, I'm saying they're almost 1,500 loops and samples. So you got samples, which are the individual sounds of instruments, and then loops are where like maybe you've got like an actual full beat with the various parts of a drum kit, for example. But the problem with a loop is that you already have the entire thing recorded, so you can't break it up into its individual bits, without having to do some severe sort of editing to the waveform itself. Having samples, which are the sounds of individual things, and then loops, which are like a drum beat, like, that kind of thing. They're both helpful to have. And just to clarify, we'll be doing a thing with samples at some point soon. It's probably going to be the next one, because I want to sort of like show people. I want to do some actual practical stuff in Reaper to show you guys how you can mess with samples. But anyways, Contact Player, it holds all of the different plugins here. It's like a library of the different native plugins, which makes it a little bit neater, I think, which is kind of nice. And then you've got Reactor Player, which has a lot of the sub synths that Native offers, and then it's just completely just insane. So that's one company out of like 5 that I deal with, okay? Now you might be thinking, but Logan, I've got money to burn. Why wouldn't I just go and like buy myself plugins? I don't need the free ones. Surely the paid ones are better, right? Well, let's go see how much it costs for paid plugins. If we go to products, let's see how much the paid versions cost. You may already be able to tell by my expressions at the moment. To be fair, there are cheap intro versions like the Soundwide Intro Bundle, which you can pay $50 for. And it's not bad. You get, what do you get? You get lots of subsynths and digital stereo maker and delays. You get stuff from Izotope. Now the cool work, and I've also Brainworks. So Brainworks and Izotope are 2 different companies, and then there's like a parent company which now owns Native, which are the people we looked at first, plus Brainworks, plus Izotope. So there's been a bit of movement in the industry recently for like these companies to adopt smaller ones or to form partnerships where they become massive entities, and they're able to provide value by doing stuff like offering like different sort of, like you've got like more sort of waveform editing. Izotope, they specialize more in repair, mixing, and mastering audio. They also have effects like reverbs, compressors, filters, and more. But the way I like to think of Izotope, and the reason I have Izotope, is that if I have something that I literally don't know what to do with in terms of its like mixing and mastering, I will try to add some of the AI processing. And this is not stuff I do with my own stuff. Like, this is stuff that, like, if you're really out of ideas, you can use this. I wouldn't recommend relying on Izotope to just automatically fix everything. If you are screwed and you have a deadline for a mix and master and you don't know how to do it, just try putting like ozone elements where it will like, it uses like AI to figure out the best EQ curve for something, as opposed to you having to EQ it itself. There's a lot to go in there, and I also have Izotope's vocal plugins where you can put the plugin like RX Pro or something like that on your recording of your vocals that you've done. You could press the button which says like learn or something like that. And what Izotope's plugin will do is it will listen to your waveform. It will apply what it thinks your audio needs in order to sound professional. And it even has like mix editors and stuff where it listens to your mix and identifies which instruments need to be increased or reduced or something like that. And it also has mastering plugins which like basically are there to give you a kind of a real kind of quick and dirty mastering job where like the AI figures out how it needs to sound. It has like a vintage setting if you want like rock and stuff, and it has like a modern setting if you'll have like electronic stuff that wants to sound a bit more professional. There's other stuff that they have, but that's what I know Izotope for. And you know, Brainworks here is one I've gotten into a little bit more recently. I don't know about the subsynth. I haven't really messed with these ones much, but they look reasonably effective. And for $50, dude, like, I just would recommend it. I think that a fair price for plugins in this day and age is less than $100 USD. And you might be thinking, whoa, surely you're talking about for like a collection. Yeah, I'm talking for a collection. And we're going to look at some pretty crazy stuff at some point real soon. You've got Massive, which is another synthesizer. So for $50, you're getting a few different synthesizers, some basic sort of Izotope, like AI processing and like vocal synths and other fun stuff, which to be honest, I'm kind of tempted with, although I already have a lot of this stuff. You also have a guitar emulator, which is cool, Guitar Rig LE. It's pretty good stuff. Like, again, you don't have everything that like the full versions have to offer, but if you're starting to get into music production, you know, getting the Soundwide intro bundle might be a good idea. Now, if you're a very keen observer, you might see get the whole lot for US $49.99 until June 15th and save over $2,000. Now, that may seem ridiculous. Surely plugins couldn't be $2,000. They're not even a physical thing. They're just like software that you have inside a computer. Why would you pay that? That's like 20 times the price of a Reaper commercial subscription. And that's when you need to understand that plugins, these packages that you have are not cheap. To be able to purchase these plugin packages outright can be incredibly prohibitively expensive. You have Complete 13, which is like the base package for $600. Do you get a lot in it? Absolutely, man. You get a whole bunch of stuff in it, you know. You get all of these different plugins. And to be honest with you, when I bought it, I didn't know what they did. And to be honest with you, at this point, I've had it for like a while. Have I used all the plugins? No. No, I haven't used all the plugins. And you might be thinking, but yeah, you paid $600 for that though. Why would you pay that much money if you aren't going to use all the plugins? Let's look at the price of individual plugins, shall we? Because I think that'd be a smart idea. You are looking at, like, this is Massive X. That's $200. Contact is $200. That's you can pay $400 for string sections. $300 for whatever the hell this is. $100 for guitar parts. Dudes and dudettes. Plugins individually are very, very expensive. And that's why they offer these plugin packages that are, again, $600. Because even if $600 is quite a lot, especially when you look at, look at this ridiculous stuff. It says here, this would typically be $14,500, but it's actually $1,200, and you save $13,000 US with the bundle price. Not to mention the Ultimate Collector's Edition, which is typically $17,000. But that's for everything individually, I think. That's for the plugins individually. But if you buy the bundle, you only spend $1,600. And at this point, you might be thinking, what? Why did I sit through a 20-minute video of you rambling on about speakers if I'm just gonna spend like $600, right? Because I would say Complete is a lot of what you'd need to be able to do the stuff you need to do with music. I have plugins from Complete, Native, and Izotope, and I also have stuff from SSL, which we'll look at in a moment. But legitimately, I feel as if Complete 13 would probably be enough. And it's like, okay, but Logan, like, what are we gonna do, dude? And this is where we have this. You will notice that we have got a lot of confusing numbers and stuff for these two. And then this is kind of like, oh, okay, you know, even to upgrade from a previous version, it's $200, right? But this is try free for 1 month. So if we click here, Complete now, look at the marketing. Look at how welcoming it is. Our hottest synths, samplers, and effects for $10 per month. Now, I'm not stupid. I know that what they're trying to do with those exorbitant prices, especially because they're plugins they made themselves, they presumably don't need to license to anyone, and they've already made them. So they don't need to do work every time they make a plugin. The plugin's made. So they can make infinite money now off of the thing because there's no more needed to be done with it aside from occasional updates. They don't want you to buy the bundles. If they wanted you to buy the bundles, they wouldn't have put green letters for try it free for 1 month. They want you to subscribe. And the reason that they want you to subscribe is because they want you to get hooked on their service and pay them for perpetuity. They don't want you to own it. None of these companies nowadays, none of them, even UAD, even Universal Audio, they don't want you to own the software. They want you to borrow it from them. If they did, they wouldn't charge as much. Now you are asking, but it's professional level stuff. Yeah, and how many studios are turning a profit at the moment? And this is not me complaining about it. This is simply me saying how it is. Back when I started 10 or 12 years ago, like Pro Tools, for like a professional version of Pro Tools, it was like $3,000. And that's what I had to go and gear myself towards because there was nothing to compete. Now the industry has opened up quite a lot. And you have the situation now where we have people that they're just switching to subscription services. And am I guilty of that? Absolutely. But I make money on what I do from music, so I can justify it. We'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. But, you know, basically, this is what they do. You can try it for free. There's always going to be new stuff added. Most, if not all of these subscription services do it. Whether it's Slate Digital, which is a personal favorite of mine, or you know, obviously Native do it. I think UAD are probably going to do it as well with theirs. I think SSL, which is the one I'm going to get today, is doing it with theirs. What's inside? A curated bundle of on-trend instruments and effects for chart-topping productions. Whether it's pop, hip-hop, or drill, Complete now gives you the mainline to radio-friendly sound. Check out the included products below. This is all for you to play with. All of these different things. And they have, see how you have individually curated descriptions for all of them, and it's all pretty, and it's all nice, and it's all superb. And the reason for this is because they know full well that professional, experienced professional musicians, they don't care about the pretty colors or anything like that. Probably already own all this stuff or have the money to do so if they're in a production space. I would guarantee that the reason this is all colorful and pretty and kind of like, oh, things are free is because it's aimed at young people. It's aimed at the young people. That is why it's so pretty and colorful and all kind of newy and like it's friggin' IKEA store or something like that. $9 per month, or you can pay $99 a year. So for the price of half the price of Massive X, one plugin, you can have 16 or more for just $100 a year or $99 a year. They want you to subscribe to them. That's all there is. So I'm going to move on because I haven't got a lot of time. The ones I would especially recommend in regards to the subscription service for plugins are Slate Digital, because you can see here, Slate Digital, they have the All Access Pass, and they do add a whole bunch of stuff. And they don't just give you a whole crap ton of plugins, they also give you massive sample packs. It's so cool. You know, get over $5,000 worth of award-winning plugin synthesizer samples for $10 a month. So if you're keeping count, let's just say you went for the Native subscription and a Slate Digital subscription. You're currently spending $20 a month for like a shit ton worth of money of plugins. You've got Izotope as well. Izotope, I don't know how much they cost. There's all sorts of information here. Yeah, $16.58 a month if you pay yearly, or $20 a month if you pay monthly. So Izotope is a lot more expensive for no discernible fucking reason. I don't know why they're more expensive, but they just are. I don't use this stuff as much as I use stuff from Slate Digital. I just have it for, I suppose, well, you can see the crowd they're going for. You got like $1,000 audio interface there, you know? The Izotope is not for the plebs. Izotope is for the people that have money to burn. And then finally for today, you have Solid State Logic, a company that prides itself on $50,000 to $100,000 mixing consoles. And they are now offering a complete bundle where you can get every single complete bundle plugin on a monthly rolling or annual subscription fee from $14.99 a month. You have 2 license activations, so you can install it on more than one computer, and that's it. Basically, I'm going to finish the video here. This will be like a part 1, maybe, of the plugin thing. I just wanted to make sure that I talked about the plugin situation here. They're incredibly important for people doing music. You literally you cannot guarantee you're going to get the tone you need from raw recordings. And plugins are a great way to fix it up, as well as to produce your own music with it using like synths or samplers or whatever. I am not affiliated with any of these companies. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. This is just the stuff I use, okay? I didn't even really talk about free samples that much. Although what I'm going to do here, I want to give a shout out to Andrew Huang. You know, when I was looking for free plugins, his video came up. And there is a lot of free plugins here. So if you want to, I'm going to put these in the description. I'm going to put the plugins that I love in the description, along with the VST meter. I'll put links to Slate, Izotope, and Native if people want it. I didn't want to come across as angry in this one. I don't think there's an issue with buying subscriptions or anything like that. And with digital software, you know, there's an inference that you're never going to like own a physical product. And also for a lot of people nowadays, especially because of how the music industry is, it's very difficult to afford decent hardware, you know, like to judge, you know, purely from music alone. Like if you're one of those studio engineers who is making enough money to buy analog hardware and these really fancy plugins and stuff outright, you're already probably working at a position where you don't have to worry about the money. But for a lot of people who are getting started with music, especially if you don't have a lot of disposable income, I'd recommend these subscriptions because of that. Just be careful about the terms and conditions of these subscriptions. I can't guarantee that all of these will let you just quit whenever you want, especially if you sign up for a year. Okay, just be very careful. In the next episode, we're probably going to like actually get a hold of the SSL complete bundle, or at the very least, I'll show you how to install it. Yeah, no, we'll do that. We'll go through the installation of plugins next time, okay? We'll switch over here though for the conclusion. Thank you very much for watching part 3 of the plugin series. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show your local musicians and artists some love via the various social medias, but also show yourself some love because you're learning how to do music production with Reaper, and all of these subscription services and whatever I know personally will work within Reaper, including you'll be fine. I'll catch you in the next SB tutorials. Oh, and leave me any questions in the comments, right, that you have, okay? Cheers. Spiderhands out.